You guys released the RTP EP in 2015. So there's three songs: Your Way or Mine, Drunk Without a Drug, and Egyptian. I went and listened to the band's entire discography, all the singles, the EPs, the albums, and I was really impressed with this debut. I thought all three songs were amazing. I thought you guys, for a debut release, you guys already had a really developed sound and great songwriting, and so I was impressed. So I want to start by saying that you produced high quality music, songs, recordings right from the start. So I don't know if you have a response to that at all, but usually it takes time for a band to kind of find themselves.
Well, thank you. I mean, a huge credit is goes to Anton DeLost, the producer on that EP. And so he's a really successful producer. And but at that stage, he was still producing out of his parents' basement in London, Ontario. So it was really awesome how we ended up getting with Anton. So our drummer at the time, Stefan Lobis, him and Anton were friends from London because they both grew up in London, and Anton was recording Stefan's band throughout high school and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's a pretty significant fact because when we started working with Anton for that EP, that's what eventually led to Anton recording with Cleopatra because there was like the connection between us and Cleopatra, and then everything that's happened with Cleopatra from that EP, and then like it like that whole recording process like led to so much, and but it really is a testament to Anton, like his ability as a producer. Like he really like knew what to do with our songs because like even still to this day, but like especially back then, like we were very much like a live band. Like we didn't think too much about what we were doing production wise on recordings. So to have someone come in and kind of take the reins with the production just to kind of help us like make like what we were playing live in the room like make sense on a recording sonically was just super helpful. Like um yeah, I think that really comes to mind, and at that stage too, like we're like Stefan being in the band, I think we had a bit of a different sound because of that. There was a little bit more structure to what we were doing. I was really into the songwriting at that point. Was different. It wasn't as I don't even know how to describe it. It was just a little bit more structured, a little bit more structured songwriting, a little bit more on the pop side, I guess. There's also a fourth song on that EP that isn't on Spotify. It's called Heart, and that was like that is the one song. So we do have a line where we say, you know what, this song is too far out of the sound. So then that would be a song, the song Heart. It is not on Spotify because Dan and I decided it was just too far out of the sound to kind of have it on Spotify with the rest of the songs. But it is out there. It's on YouTube and stuff like that. So you could check out, and you should check it out too, because there is a fourth song to this EP. Yeah.
In what way is that song too far out? Like too poppy or something?
Yeah, it is just like, well, first of all, almost every Ready the Prince song ever written has been in a minor key. And that song is in a major key. And it is very like R&B, almost like yeah, really pop. It's just so different. At the time, like when the RTP EP came out, it definitely fit. But then once we started like wanting to be like a or wanted to establish ourselves as like a heavier rock band, especially with, Cleopatra, like there was a shift that happened when we first met Cleopatra and saw them play in this like really small venue in Toronto, and there was like no one there. It was just us and them. We just ended up being on a bill. There's like maybe four people there, and when we saw these guys play, it changed us. And we kind of knew like what they were doing was like what we also wanted to be doing, and like what we had kind of done in the past when we were originally a band before the RTP EP. We're more of a raw kind of like rock band, and then when we saw Cleopatra play, it kind of made us kind of like realize we wanted to go back to that, and then that's when we kind of just decided, you know what, Heart just isn't that. It's just not what we are in terms of like that style. So yeah.
What thoughts, memories, emotions come to you when you think back to that debut EP that really kickstarted this amazing journey that you've been on since then. I mean, it must have created new opportunities finally having music as a like digital business card that you could hand out. It's one thing if you're only playing live. It's like how do you share with a manager or label or someone that you're great if the only way they can experience that is live? And most bands don't play that often, or whoever you want to impress is in a different city, they're not going to come see you, or you don't tour there. So what comes to you when you think back to this EP and maybe the opportunities it started to present?
Well, I got to bring it back to there was an EP before that that I have to bring it back to because we had an EP before that that is also not online because we made the decision that we just don't think that it's kind of like up to that standard. But like, yeah, the EP before that would be the one that really kind of did that for us, where we finally had music where we can go and get shows. So this EP at the time it was just called Ready to Prince, but now we call it the Lost EP. It's on Bandcamp, and that's like the original, like those are the first songs that we wrote as a band, essentially. Dan, Jordan, and I, and yeah, like that. When we had that, it was really cool because at that time, like I think we put it on maybe like SoundCloud. I don't even remember what was around back then, but there was no streaming services. Like we're pretty old. Like we had a CD. I think there was SoundCloud though because I remember we were able to like share it to like venues and stuff like that around the city that we were trying to get shows at. But yeah, I mean, it opens the doors to just be able to play more shows, and that was kind of really all we were thinking about back then. Like we weren't thinking about anything but like just like playing shows. And it was a simpler time. Even when the RTP EP came out, like we didn't even put it on Spotify. Like even though Spotify was around, like we had no idea um about like we are like the least like business minded band. Still to this day, that is the biggest struggle for us. Is just to try and make that like make sense in our heads because it's really only ever been about like the music and like playing shows and like having the opportunity to play shows and just make great music. So yeah, I mean, it definitely was eye-opening though because that's when we really realized we had a future for sure. It was with that EP because Anton did such a great job with the production, and then people really liked the EP, and that's kind of when we first started getting like true fans that weren't just like friends or like family members or friends of friends. It was like just like people from like anywhere that maybe stumbled upon it, which was like not a lot of people at that point because it was more of like a word of mouth thing. But yeah, like it was like, whoa, okay, we could do this. Like we can actually like make music that people enjoy.
So we've mentioned that EP, it's a little less heavy. There's some more apparent, bigger pop hooks on it. Would you say that some of your softer influences like John Mayer or Coldplay were more apparent on that EP? And maybe B, you were still trying to figure out your sound at that point.
Yeah, we were definitely trying to figure out our sound. Like we were always trying to figure out our sound. But yeah, back then, I will say I think Stefan had a big role to play because it was just Stefan's style. Like he would always bring in like a little bit more of that slower groove to the songs. So because we had like versions of we had so Your Way or Mine was originally written with Jordan, and it was like a full on like rock song. Like it was not the type of song it is now. So that is like the second version of Your Way or Mine. And so it's just it's Stefan's drum style that really kind of brought those songs and kind of gave them the vibe that they have. Like even Drunk Without a Drug was originally written heavier, faster. But then, Stefan's the type of guy he'll just come on with this beat and it just changes the whole thing. I love R&B, so when he plays that stuff, like it brings the R&B out of me, and like I just want to sing like that. And then Dan also loves R&B, and Dan's also like this type of player he could play over anything. So all of a sudden we're playing like these kind of more slow grooves, and yeah, like it just kind of was what made sense. Like I think with our band, it's like the players in the band is what really gives the sound in a lot of ways, for sure.
So speaking of the players in the band, one thing that stood out on that EP is the guitar work, man. There is some tasty guitar work on there. What would you say that Daniel Prada brings to the table for the band?
Daniel Prada brings like the unique element to our band. Like I think he is so creative. Um, and it's very natural for him to be creative. It's almost harder for him not to be creative and unique. Like we're such a good match because Dan is the type of guy he brings in like these guitar parts that have like not a lot of structure. Like it's just him playing, right? And I'm the one who is able to kind of like hear what he's doing and be like, okay, that sounds like a verse, that sounds like a chorus. Like like him and I together is what makes us um, a band that is like unique but also uh, structured in a way. So yeah, like he's incredible. He only knows how to be creative, and sometimes it's too creative. Like what's cool about this new album is like I finally like tried to sing over his like craziest guitar stuff. Like Sabretooth 5 years ago, I would have been like, Dan, like I can't sing over
Where
this,
do I
man. Like
come in
we
here? Yeah.
yeah, like he's written parts like that in the past, and I just been like, I can't sing over this, man. I'm sorry. But then as we got older, I was like, hell yeah, like let me try. And I also just got to the point where I had the technical ability to sing over something like that because like you have to have a certain technical ability to sing over that guitar work. So yeah, like that's I don't even remember. I think your question was like, what does Dan bring to the band? Yeah, he brings the special sauce. That's he's the X factor for
he
sure.
brings the table to the table. So that
Absolutely.
that that EP came out 8 years ago, and even back then, there's just incredible guitar work all over that EP. And I have some kind words sent in from Daniel Prada, guitarist, here for Ready the Prince. So this is what Dan has to say. He says, over the past 10 years, I've had the privilege of calling Steve my bandmate. And over the past 15 years, my brother and my best friend. We were just a couple of kids with big dreams jamming out to Danny California. Good song, good song. We were now many years later, we've released so much music and have toured the world together. Steve's care, compassion, and selflessness has influenced me in ways he will never know. His passion and drive to always better himself as a musician and a person inspires me constantly. And his love and work ethic is what holds this band together. Grateful to know such a beautiful being. Anyways, love you, brother. So that's from Dan.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Didn't think I was gonna be getting emotional on the podcast, but yeah. Dan's a very heartfelt guy when he when he speaks from the heart. So yeah.